welcome. Take a moment and allow yourself to land in your body. What does that even mean? You're already in your body. Yes, you are, but maybe your awareness isn't. Maybe it's stuck in part of your body, up here. So let that awareness sink down, reminding yourself you are a whole being, and you can even add touch and remind yourself that you are a whole being with arms, with chest and belly and back, with hips and pelvis, with legs and feet and toes. And yes, you have a face as well. It's not just the brain, the busy brain in there. All of this is you. You are a whole being. And perhaps take a breath and sigh it out. And if you ever think, oh, I'd like to do an early morning yoga practice every day, you could do just that. You could do just that. That 1 minute of awareness. That is yoga. Yoga isn't just pretty poses. And that awareness building is so good. It's so good for our whole being, for our nervous systems, for our nervous systeming. So linger there a little bit more. And notice what you need today, what you want and what you need. And then choose either stay seated or lie down. I'm going to stay seated, but you are welcome to lie back if you're sitting up. You're welcome to sit up if you're lying down. Any position will do. And probably don't look at this point, because the focus is you and what you feel. So you're welcome to look, but you will gain more from noticing yourself. I'll turn sideways in case any of you are still looking and wondering. And you don't have to sit like this. You can sit against something. You can still be on a pillow if you're sitting up, and you can rest back. But awareness with the feet and toes first, and bring some really slow, intentional wiggles to the toes. Like slow motion wiggles. You see, you can't see them in my new fluffy socks anyway. But notice where the toes touch each other, where they might touch your socks. And the movements can be tiny, imperceptible to anybody that was looking at your feet. And they can also be so micro that they're mainly visualized. And then spread that awareness across the sole of the foot so that you can then find some movement, some exploration around the heel. And inevitably, there'll be movement in the ankle, because you kind of can't move your heel without moving the ankle. So let the whole foot move, either micro movements, we're doing both sides, it's okay, or take some bigger circles, but slow and intentional. And then let that movement shift up into the lower leg. So you might bring tiny amounts of contraction to any of the muscles in the lower leg. It may be easier to do that in the calf because we're more aware there. But if you bring your toes a little bit towards your head, your face, you'll get some contraction in the muscles at the front. So letting your awareness rest there in the lower legs. No rush. And then to the knees. Little bit of movement at the knees, and notice how It's really restricted, the movements at the knees. It's that one directional plane. You actually can get a little bit of rotation. So if your legs are straight, you get no rotation at the knee joint. It's only the flexion and extension. But feel into it and then notice if you bend your knees a little bit, then you can turn your feet out and you get a little bit of that rotation. It's not just at the ankle, it's at the feet. So be the knee joint. Feel into the knee joint. Gentle and intentional. And then take that exploration up into the thighs. So you might inevitably move at the hip joint, or you might keep the hip joint still and move into the muscles themselves, either the hamstrings at the back or the quads at the front, the muscles at the front and back of the thighs, back and front even. And even take the legs out, abduction, so you can sense into the muscles down the side of the thighs. Doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter how big it is, and bring them back. Adduction. You can even try crossing one over and noticing. And listening to the signals, feeling into them. So if there's any discomfort, backing off. And then have some movement in the whole of each leg. Doesn't matter what it looks like. With curiosity. It's like exploring a new landscape. I didn't know it felt like that. I didn't know it moved like that. And then pause. Be your legs. Feel into them from the inside. That's interoceptive awareness. Noticing how you feel in your legs, as your legs from the inside. And noticing if you've woken up that sensation by the movement, by the exploration. Because we take things for granted that our awareness gets dulled. It's nobody's fault. We're going to take that movement into the pelvis. So you can keep your legs out. You can cross them. If you're lying down, they might stretch out, or you might lie down and have the feet flat. If you're in a chair, they might just be flat to the floor. And take your awareness to the pelvis. I was at a workshop last night for the Women Rising event in Embodiment Unlimited, and it was all based on the pelvis. And it was quite enlightening because, again, this sensation can be dulled because you don't notice what's always there. So beginning perhaps with slow, intentional tilting of the pelvis. And it's the muscles that are doing that. So you'll feel sensation in the lower belly, probably, perhaps in the thighs, the glutes and the lower back. But keep that awareness in the pelvis. And you might notice more the muscles around the pelvic floor, all of the muscles around the pelvic bowl that you probably don't spend much time paying attention to. No negative judgment there. And see if you can, as you tilt, get a bit more curious, intuitive, playful, and let one side tilt forward and the other maybe tilt back. It's like, what? What's that? You're getting a little bit of different movement on each side and some shift against the sacrum, which is at the back of the pelvis, but there's a bit of movement there, and into the hip joints. So exploring with curiosity, and there isn't a right or wrong way to do this because it's your pelvis. So noticing and shifting the emphasis from one side to the other. You get a little bit of nutation at the back there and counter nutation. And the pelvis itself, it's like a pulley system. It's like a pulley system. So you've got muscles down the front, muscles down the back that shift and move it. You'll notice. And as you do this, of course, you're bringing in a tiny bit of cat-cow movement. We were talking about that the other day, how it can originate in the pelvis. And let that go. And shift awareness to the belly. Again, doesn't matter what position you're in, but let your focus be there. Expanding, contracting, perhaps into the sides, around the sides of the belly, the sides of the torso. Exploring what movement you can feel into. How is it in your belly? Be your belly. Some yawning going on in the Zoom room this morning. Yawning's good, you know. It expands the tiny air sacs in the alveoli when you yawn. And then the lower back. So you're still doing the same kind of movement and exploration, but with the focus on the muscles in the lower back. And then let that awareness slide up towards the shoulder blades. And so inevitably some movement in the shoulders will come in. So you can bring your shoulder blades towards each other, which means you open the chest a bit, but you're contracting the muscles at the back. And then bring your shoulders forwards so they come towards the front, and you're opening that space between the shoulder blades. Again, as that movement moves into the chest, you might bring some side movements and some twisting. No right way, no wrong way. You are in charge of your own exploration. But you're bringing an increase in awareness. And then move that into the arms. So maybe go down to the fingertips first. Moving into the hands, tiny muscles of the hands, through the palms. And even when you move the fingers out and in, it's not just the fingers, it's the whole of the hands, the muscles in the whole of the hands. Into the wrists. Let that spread into the arms. A bit snake-like. Up into the shoulders. Let the chest join in. It's like we're dancing. Slow motion dancing. And then let it come up into the neck. Gentle. Always being cautious, especially you know your body, but being cautious if the neck goes backwards. But a little bit of opening is good at the front. And stretching the neck at the back as well. And you can even bring that sort of a ripple of cat-cow. What does that mean? Don't know. Explore it. Feel it. Be it. And then let the face join in. This is when I'd really like to put the Zoom room on gallery view into the Facebook group. I'm not going to do that. It's all right. Different facial expressions. The expressions are normally there with emotion, not with, or with social etiquette, not with direct and muscular exploration. Be your face. Maybe even add the touch into your head so that you can sense into the whole of the head. Oh, perhaps we should have head massage every day. That might be a good thing. It might not be a good look, but as we leave, but it would be a good thing. And then let it go. What have you woken up? What awareness have you woken up? Have a gentle wiggle and a shimmy. And just notice. And again, that's another practice you could do. You could do it lying in bed on a morning before you get out of bed. You could do it in the night when you can't sleep. And then let it go. And either stay seated lying down or come to standing. I'm going to have a quick sip of my tea, which is a bit hot, which is perfect. Okay, I'm keeping the fluffy socks on, which are very fetching, as always. And have a shimmy, have a wiggle, and find your mountain pose. I wrote a little blog on mountain pose this week. And your mountain can be seated, your mountain can be lying down, your mountain can be when you're curled up in bed. It doesn't have to look like a mountain, but feel into the strength and stillness of your mountain pose. Pausing and noticing. And then let's find a warrior two. So again, you can take this whatever position you're in. So taking the feet out first. Modeling the Yukon warrior in a skirt today. Turning toes out to one edge. And before you bend the knees, taking a hug. The power of the hug. We had a guest session in the lovely Catherine Owen in the Befriending Me yesterday, and she was saying that one of the reasons we have repetition, and I know I've told you this before, but her words were powerful. We repeat things so they filter into your life. So if you can take hugs into your life, it's a good thing. And then sweep out, knee bend, knee kind of over ankle, doesn't matter what it looks like. If you're lying down, one leg straight, one leg bent, arms out, or hands might come to heart. Feeling through your warrior, shimmy into your warrior. Does it feel different having explored the whole body? And come back to a hug. Back out. Finding your warrior two. And see if you can come into it slowly. We're going to come into it once more. And snake-like find your warrior. So come back to a hug if you're in it. We'll have the third one because I do like 3 hugs anyway. And as you sweep out, have it in slow motion and wiggle into it. Your leg might bend, your torso might shift around, your arms might move, and then find your warrior. And gently let it go. Come out, let your feet come back. Have a wiggle, have a shimmy, and notice, does your mountain feel different? Can you stand taller? Can you rise? How is it in your mountain from the inside? Have a little rock. And take it to the other side. So I think I'm going to have to take my lovely fluffy socks off because they're actually a little bit slippy on my lovely carpet. So feet out, turning the opposite toes as towards the short edge. Don't worry about where your toes are pointing if you're lying down. And take a hug. You can swap the sides of the hug. As you know, I just like my hug on one side. And then slow motion, sweep out, bending into that knee, bring that wiggle. Explore into your warrior two. And come back. Back to the hug. Pause and linger. Sweep out. Maybe slightly different arm movements coming into your warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2. I used to be very pleased with myself for being able to pronounce that because I struggle. And come back to the hug. Third one. This one. Full on exploration. Slow motion. Shimmy and wiggle into your warrior two from your toes to your fingertips. feeling into the strength. Oh, some strong warriors in the Zoom room this morning. Look at those faces. Beautiful. And let it go. Let the feet come back in. Find your mountain again. Have a wiggle, have a shimmy. Does it feel different? Can you stand taller? Are you your mountain pose? Be your mountain, strong and resolute. And then make your way back down to the mat, either seated or lying down for a twist. I'm going to lie down this time. And any twist you choose. So you might do the old drop onto one side and roll out. Or if you're seated, you might take the knees to one side and the body to the other. Or you might leave the legs still and turn the body. I'll stay seated now. Whatever twist feels good. And keep it gently dynamic. And take it to the other side. Whatever twist you chose. And following that sensation right through the body. Through your whole being. And let it come back. And then rest back. Rest back in whatever position you choose. For a few moments, a few minutes of relaxation before moving into your day or your evening or whenever you're watching this. Letting your awareness trickle once again through the whole body. Perhaps this time starting at the toes, feeling into the feet from the inside out, up through the ankles and the lower legs, the knees and the thighs, and be the hips, be the pelvis. Sensing deep into the pelvic bowl, the muscles, the organs. Awareness through the belly, the sides of the torso, the lower spine, and up to the chest, the vertebra, the shoulder blades, the rib cage, and deep inside the heart, the lungs. Through the fingertips and hands, the lower arms, elbows, upper arms. And up to the shoulders and the neck. And up through the head. And perhaps you can hold your whole being in awareness, your whole self from the inside for a few moments. And then taking a deeper breath, taking a wiggle, maybe a stretch. Maybe coming back to the hug. Top up with self-care, ready to take into your day. And linger there longer if you choose. And otherwise, have a wiggle, have a jiggle, say hello to the dog, and let it all go. And I will see you after the weekend. So have a lovely weekend. I'm going to get my socks back on before I walk across the shed floor. This is the reason for the mat. Cold autumnal mornings. I'm going to stop the live stream, check in with the Zoom room.